She didn't bark. She didn't scratch at the door. She didn't make a single sound. She simply stopped in front of a gate and stood there, quietly, as if she knew this was her last chance. An exhausted dog, her body marked by pain and abandonment, chose one gate. And that choice changed her life and an entire family's life forever. If you're the kind of person who believes certain meetings aren't coincidences, that some animals come into our lives for a reason, then you need to hear Hope's story. Stay until the end, because this one will hit you in a way you won't see coming. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now is the perfect time. Subscribe and keep following real stories, just like this one. The story starts on a quiet property in the countryside, on an ordinary day, when a nameless, ownerless little dog was spotted wandering the street. She looked like so many others out there, lost and forgotten. The daughter of the family living nearby noticed her, felt her heart pull, and offered her a little food. The dog accepted the gesture with the careful hesitation of an animal that had been hurt before, and walked away. Nobody knew if she'd come back. For about 10 days, she was just gone. The family hadn't forgotten her, but there was no way to go looking. And then she came back. But this time it was different. She didn't stop in the middle of the street. She walked straight to the family's front gate and stood there, still, waiting, as if she knew exactly where she was and what she needed. Matthias de Javite, the veterinarian who lived there with his family, described that moment in a way that sends chills down your spine. Like a cry for help, there she stayed. Picture that scene for a second. A dog who had spent weeks on the street, hungry, scared, her body failing her, could have gone anywhere. She chose that gate. She chose that family. That wasn't random. That was something deeper. That was hope. When Matthias brought her inside and examined her, what he found was heartbreaking. She was severely underweight, her body worn down by weeks of surviving on her own. What concerned him most were the infections she was carrying, including a condition called myiasis, commonly known as a fly strike wound, affecting one of her paws and the area around her eyes. On top of that, she flinched at the slightest human gesture, shrinking back from anyone who came near. She was the picture of an animal that had learned, the hard way, that people can cause pain. And yet, she had walked up to that gate. Treatment began right away. With the knowledge and resources of a trained veterinarian, Matthias threw everything he had into her recovery. The medical care was intensive, but there was another battle being fought at the same time, rebuilding the trust of an animal that had been deeply wounded by abandonment. Patience. Endless patience. A hand extended slowly. A calm voice. Time and love, repeated every single day, until she started to believe she was safe. During the exams, a new diagnosis came up. Dry eye syndrome, a condition where the tear glands don't produce enough moisture to properly protect the eyes. Without that lubrication, the eyes become vulnerable to infections, irritation, and permanent corneal damage. It requires lifelong management, and in Hope's case, it did affect her eyesight. But as you're about to find out, that didn't stop her from doing anything. The weeks went by, and something remarkable began unfolding. Hope's coat started growing back. Her body began filling out. The eyes once filled with fear slowly started to soften, and almost without anyone being able to pinpoint exactly when, she stopped being a patient in recovery and became part of the family. Matthias shared that within just a few weeks, she was already sleeping in the bed, wrapped in little outfits. Anyone who had seen her at that gate, skeletal and terrified, never would have imagined it. They named her Hope, and she lived up to every letter of it. 3 years have passed since that day at the gate. Today, Hope travels with the family, goes to the beach, and goes on adventures. She has a routine, a home, and love surrounding her every single day. When Matthias looked back and reflected on everything, he said something that says more than any medical chart ever could. At first, it was just about helping her. Then it became a love story. And he added the phrase that became the heart of this whole story. It wasn't a rescue. It was a gift. Subscribe to the channel and keep following real stories, like Hope's, that remind us love truly can transform anything. Has an animal ever shown up in your life out of nowhere and changed everything? Tell us in the comments below.